Hey guys, happy Sunday! Welcome to a glorious day and start of a beautiful week. If you don't know who I am, I'm Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. You can check out all of my deets down below. Checking out my website, kittensweightsandtarot.com, learn about what I'm all about. Plus checking out my offerings and maybe checking out my YouTube membership, which is here on good old YouTube's, and also checking out my Patreon, maybe our witchy shop, a desert cauldron, or maybe you're into some crystals, looking for a little crystal companion to work with. You can check out James's shop, Light of Riga, which the link for that is also down below. All right, you guys. Let's see who's here. All right, we got our friend Susie. Hey, Peg is here. John, hello. And we have Liesel. Liesel says it's pouring rain here. Oh my goodness. Well, we'll send some of that sunshine your way. Lily here says grand rising to one and all. I hope all is well with everyone. Well, it's a fantastic day here in the mountains, and got tons of our birdie friends right now just hanging around the creek and checking out all the scratching around underneath the junipers and the pinyon pines and things like that. Peg saying hello. Susie was saying, what a bummer for Liesel, sending some good old-fashioned solar vibes. John saying hello to everyone. And Peg wants James to know that she has an eye on one of his periwigs, and she feels like it'll be very soon. Oh, cool. Well, just so you know, periwigs is like one of his his fave crystals. I mean, he loves all his crystals, but you know, I know that the periwigs have a special place in his heart. Alrighty. So, by the way, how is your Sunday going? Do you guys have anything cooked up for today? Do you have anything planned for this week? Maybe in terms of 3D, but also in terms of maybe 4D, 5D. You guys got any meditations or things that you guys are working on? Would love to hear. All right. Well, before we get started today, for those people that will be watching the replay or maybe are new to the channel, I have a poll that I put out on Thursdays. So there is a public poll that you see on my YouTube channel page. I also have a poll that I give to my YouTube members and my Patreon peeps. So you have a chance to vote on things that you would like to see during the Sunday live chat. And it looks like it was a pretty unanimous. There was no tie this week. Patreon, YouTube members, and the public all said they wanted to see a little bit of wind magic. And so I'd be happy to share that with you guys today. Before we dive into that, I will be going into our weekly readings. So I have a few decks here to utilize if you guys want to let us know what decks you're working with, or maybe you're just working with your good old-fashioned intuition and you're pulling down those messages. Maybe you're channeling those messages. But we'd love to hear from you. That's what this live chat is all about. So seeing what you guys have to say in the chat. So I highly encourage anybody who watches these replays, check out what is going on in the chat, because there's a lot of good stuff there, a lot of really great people. Let's see. Umbra is here. It says, hello, first time around here. Greetings from Chile. Hello. Lily said, Peridot, that's my birthstone. Oh, wow. What a nice stone indeed. Mike Green says, hi from England. Hello. Peg welcoming in Umbra says, you're going to love it. Susie welcoming Mike. And Lisa says, channeling Joey Ramone again through the painting I'm doing of him. It's almost life-size, so taking some time. All right, excellent. Can't wait to hear, Lisa. And Peg said, England in the house. Welcome, Mike. Let's see. John says, Tara volatile. I pre-pulled because I'm at work. Are you doing like the card shuffle, but like under the desk? You know, back when I was teaching, when I'd be on like my lunch break or it'd be nutrition break, you know, whatever break we have from the children's, and I'd be just like at my desk, just like pulling cards, and then kids would come in. I would just like open my drawer and slowly pull it in. Just do. And sometimes I didn't care. The kids were like, what are you doing? I'm like, tarot cards. Like, what else? Um, and then Lily Umbra, bienvenidos. Hello, hello. Peg said, I saw a video on London being overrun. Is this true? She's asking of our buddy Mike. And Mike saying thanks to everyone. All right, well, before we get started today, I wanted to show you guys something else pretty cool. So as you know, last week I showed you guys my Tanto blade, which there are technically, I guess, three major blades of the Edo period samurai. So you have your, samurai sword, which most people are familiar with. It's the bigger sword. And then you have a sword that's a little bit smaller, meant for closer quarters, and that is your wakizashi. And then you have your, battling it out, rolling on the ground, whatever it may be. And I have my tanto, my last resort. And this here is James's tanto, actually, and so I'm borrowing it, and I thought it was appropriate because we were going to do a bit of wind magic today. And as you know, in many tarot cards, anytime we talk about air signs or air, they're usually talking about birds or feathers, or they have actual swords to represent the element of air. And I guess you can consider this a mini sword, but kind of between a sword and a dagger, so you have your little tanto here. But what I love about is his little manuki, which I finally remembered what the names are of these. I love this because they look like little serpents or dragons, which I think is so cool. And then on his suba, which is kind of like the handguard right here, it's this cool chain design, but also right here kind of looks like a little cloud, but with rays coming out of it, kind of, I guess, the way it looks today, which is pretty neat. So anyway, popping this open here, we have another little design, some of the hardware going on before you see the actual blade. So that is T10 steel, is very, very sturdy steel, and it's been, it has a hamon right here, which is the clay tempering to make it reinforced, the blade portion of it, the strongest portion or the sharpest portion kind of being at the end here. So definitely really good for rituals, if you want to do cord cutting, if you just want to practice some dagger work, that's a lot of fun too. But definitely, you can use things like this in your rituals. And so if you maybe would like, during our wind magic today, if you would like to bust out maybe your own athames, or maybe you have a tanto, or maybe you have a legit sword. Maybe you could bring those out, maybe kind of cut the way, pave the way, make sure all those blockages and all those energetic cords are out of the way to make room for some lovely magic that we're going to create. And actually, our little friend Miss Squirrel is hanging out under my Jeep right now. I can see her over there. So everybody's come out to join us. We got the birds, we got Miss Squirrel, which is the news anchor of the hill. So go ahead and put this back in. All right, so we'll go ahead and put that off to the side, or maybe we'll just put that on my lap. That's good too. All right, let's see. What do we have here? Oh yeah, that's right. John the chef. Lisa says London is in chaos right now. Interesting. What's the happenings over there? What's the 411? Umbra said yes. I'm already liking the vibes. And Mike says London is not a nice place right now. Oh wow. Susie said to Lisa, my friend Kabuki Theater wanted me to tell you that you rock. Nice. And everybody else is saying hello to Miss Squirrel. Lily was saying beautiful sword. Yeah, I really love these. Oh, and I forgot, there's some of the designs here. We have the fan kind of at the butt of the tanto, and we have a little fan design here just underneath the suba, which is also pretty cool. It goes along with the wind theme. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive into our weekly reading, and then let's get to that wind magic, because I'm super excited about that. Not that I'm not excited about our weekly readings, but I mean, when I get to do a bit of magic, and I've been kind of really wanting to do some magical workings, but I don't ever want to force it. I don't want to like just make something for the sake of making something. Like, I want to make sure that there's some real intention and there's a real want, you know, to do it, that everything is in alignment for me to want to do something. John said, my athame is a switchblade. Nice, bro. I dig it. And Lily is also asking, what is going on with London? And Lisa said, Kabuki Theater is such a great guy. Tell him thanks. Tell him he's a rock star from me. And Peg says, I saw where they are all over praying in the streets, blocking traffic and causing interruptions, basically showing a sign of force, praying for you across the pond. So yeah, people are wondering, what's the hubbubaloo over there? I'm definitely sending good vibes to all our friends across the pond. And you know, let's see what's cooked up all over the world, you know, with this reading that we're going to be doing. Oh, and before we dive in, I do want to say thank you to all of my YouTube members. You know, I was mentioning Patreon and YouTube earlier about the voting, which if you're a member of Patreon or YouTube or both, obviously you get more votes. And, you know, if you're really interested in seeing something during a Sunday live chat, then, you know, you might be able to edge something in for the win. But for my YouTube members, you'll notice who they are because they have a little colored kitten head. There's like a little square next to their name and it has a little kitten head. They're all different colors depending on how many months people have been YouTube members. But Liesel, you'll see one next to her name, and Susie and Kayla, maybe when she pops in. So thank you, ladies, so much. And also to my Patreon members. So Myrna and Karen and Liesel, Heather, hey girl, Lily and Dana and Kayla, Syrian, Brandy, Jason, and Brian. So thank you guys all so much. And of course to all of my subscribers as well. I love you guys and all the people who pop in here to these chats and offer your wisdom and guidance. Peg says, praying to the cube. Ah. Wow, wow, wow. My goodness. Well, maybe I'll do a little searchies after the live chat today. Oh, hey, Janine is here. Hey, girl, how are you? All right, so decks that I have. Peg says they pray to Mecca. Ah. Okay, so we have the Mary Magdalene Oracle. I've been feeling these Mary Magdalene vibes a lot lately, along with Isis coming in strong, and Liesel, you'll know, Liesel actually had an encounter with my younger self, or like my inner child, coming across with these Isis vibes. But you know, Isis and Mary Magdalene coming in hot, kind of surrounding themselves in the energy of Ishel, which is my matron goddess, which, you know, of course, these are all aspects of myself. And so, and they're all aspects of us. So kind of looking into why I'm calling on these aspects at this time. So anyway, feeling into the vibes, I have the Mary Magdalene Oracle. And I'm never too far without my Wally's World. So the link for that is down below in case you're interested. And I also have my Cosmic Slumber Tarot with me. And this pen actually is for later for our magic that we're going to be doing. I have the New Age Hipster Insta Oracle. Pretty cute. Oh, and by the way, my YouTube members, they get special emojis. So if you're wondering like how Susie is using some of these special emojis there, well, that's for my YouTube members. I also have the Mystic Rebel Oracle here. And I have the Goddesses of the World, which I've really been liking this one. Yeah, I love this one a lot. The just energy of these different goddesses, these different archetypes is just whew. And then what I keep in here, actually, this is my Auntie Caroline's like little jewelry box that got bequeathed to me, but I keep a little oracle deck that I've created. You guys ready to see yourselves on camera? Oh. But anyway, so I have a little oracle deck that I created. It's called the Donna di Ispirazione, so inspirational woman in Italian. but I had to hand paint the backs of each of these pieces of cardstock, and then I found pictures of magazines, pictures in magazines that I liked, and I cut them out, and then I got them laminated at Kinko's back in the day. So anyway, these have great messages, so I want to bust that out as well. And then Susie and Lisa going crazy with their awesome emojis for my YouTube members. And Susie says to, oh, for her too, she's also been feeling Mary Magdalene. I can't even talk today. But yeah, just, I don't know, that whole like rose energy, temple energy, just like goddess of the rose, just coming in strong. It started off with like rose quartz. Like I work with rose quartz, but I wouldn't say it's one of the main crystals I've ever worked with. Like, I like to have some nice, rose quartz laying around, but I don't know, the past like month and a half, it was like rose quartz, like I gotta have it and I have to have it on my person. And so I was doing these deep meditations as well. I talked a little bit about it, on Instagram and here on YouTube, about these cube meditations that we've been doing. And no, not the cube as in talking about Mecca, but different cube, and talking about the cube that we are in, but doing a ton of healing, going into some of the like darkest shadow type stuff, and needing, I think, a lot of that rose quartz energy kind of on that journey that we're going through. And then from there, it was like my matron goddess started coming through a little bit more heavily. So it was Ishal. And I was like, okay. But then all of a sudden it was like, bam. All of a sudden, no matter where I look, it's all Mary Magdalene, like everywhere. Her energy, like, and there's a knowing, like, some people have asked, like in our channeling videos, how do I know that what I'm channeling is the real deal? And it's just like with anything else in spirituality, there is no way in 3D that I could ever prove, quote unquote, prove anything to anyone, because to prove in the 3D would have to have like 3D evidence, and if I'm working in the 4D, there is no 3D evidence for the 4D, really. I would have 4D evidence, and I have my own filtration system, and I trust my higher self, I trust my intuition, as I always have, and there's just ways that I just know, and I can't really describe how I know that something is a trickster or something is real deal. And for me, it was just like this knowing, that claircognizance, that's Mary Magdalene. Like, I can't tell you how I know, I just know. So, and I think that it's not just me that energy is around, like, Susie was saying it's around her, but I think it's all over the planet. And this could be an aspect of Gaia, showing herself as the Mary Magdalene energy, because I know that she's going through just as many changes as we are, because we are connected to her. So as we go through tough times, she goes through tough times. As we go through growth and rebirth, which can be painful sometimes, that's what she's going through as well. So yeah, so that's why I have, I guess, the decks that I have here is just a lot of divine feminine energy, but with a good balance of, I think, of the divine masculine. And speaking of divine feminine, on Friday we had International Women's Day, but on Saturday was the Mother Goddess Day. And what I think is interesting between these two, I guess, celebrations is International Women's Day, to me, segregates half our population, our males in the population, because I doubt we have a day that is International Men's Day, and I don't want to be all like jumping on a soapbox here, but I like to share my opinions, and you guys don't, obviously have to agree with me. But with Mother Goddess Day, to me, that was honoring the mother and the divine feminine in all of us, regardless of our gender. And so I was just noticing how different it is by something mainstream, like International Women's Day, as opposed to something more pagan or naturalistic, like, Mother Goddess Day, where one is to include all beings on the planet and just honoring an aspect of them, which is that divine feminine, which we all have, no matter our gender, and the other one being solely gender-based. So, of course I give appreciation to both, but it was just my ponderings, just my musings yesterday as I was in meditation. I was like, well, that's interesting, why one gets to be mainstream but the other does not. So you know, c'est la vie, goes the cube. um, John says he feels great about Women's Day. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Susan says, I trust your intuition too. Well, thank you. And John says, it's by having a relationship with these energies, just like how we know we can trust each other. Exactly. And it's like, how can you really say, like, prove to somebody, like, oh, I trust my best friend? Like, I just do, I can't really say why, John says the Magick had a long time, or sorry, the mask had a long time in the lights. That's right. Yeah, the divine masculine. But yeah, I think now is a time for balance. So maybe not to skew it in the other lopsided direction where it's like all feminine now. And yes, we've all had masculine for a while, and then, to throw all into the other direction. But now how can we basically walk the middle path? Maybe how we can bring the two into balance, bringing in the positive light aspects of the divine masculine, bringing it into the positive light aspects of the divine feminine, how the two are stronger together as opposed to standing alone, just as, individual energies. So yeah, for me, I'm like, let's bring it all together, baby. Let's bring it all in balance. John says the scale tips before it balances. Also very true as well. All right, well, on that note, since we have a lot going on in the world, let's go ahead and sling some cards and tap into that intuition we've been speaking of. All right, you know what? I would like to pull from Goddesses of the World, the Mary Magdalene Oracle, and I think I'm also going to pull from my Donna di Ispirazione Oracle. So give me just a moment. And while I do that, if you guys would like to pull down some messages, let us hear what you got. All right. By the way, here's the back of that Mary Magdalene deck. And that's by Megan Watterson, by the way, in case you're interested. I actually just ordered her book, Magdalene Revealed, which is just looking at all the different aspects of Mary Magdalene. I believe that one has her Gospels in it. It's got more of a religious, but also, I guess, spiritual-based undertones. But, I like to read everything. All right, looks like we have a card from there. Excellent, excellent. All right, let's pull a card from Goddesses of the World. Oh, you know what's nifty about this deck, which, here the cards got the holographic edging, which I think is great. But on the back, you can use, I know some people may not like it, but on the back there's a QR code that goes directly to the goddesses on the other side. So if all you had was your phone and you didn't have the guidebook or anything, and you wanted to learn a little bit about, this goddess, then you could just take your phone, do the QR code, and just it gives you pages upon pages of mythos and psychology and science and everything, and whatever the ego brain could about that. But of course, what I love about it is that there are no keywords, just the name of the goddess, and I just use my good old-fashioned intuition, just tap in. So let's do that. Let's pull a card here. And then we'll pull one from the Donna di Ispirazione. Let's see what you guys got going on. John says, I'm a Libra too, so hey, Libra moon here, Libra moon. Susie says, ladybug energy yesterday for me. Whoa. And Umbra was wondering what solar sign I am. I am a Gemini solar sign. And if you're wondering, in Mayan astrology, I am Akbal, 5 Akbal in Yucatec. Susie said, Terra Scorpio rising, Libra moon, and Gemini sun. That's me. Oh, hey, Russ. Thanks for the alert, Sister Peg. I just tuned in moments ago. Welcome, Russ. Susie was saying this looks like a beautiful deck. Um, all right, so John pulled the King of Swords. The King of Swords, eh? We're just talking about swords at the beginning. Okay, let me pull one more card from my Donna di Ispirazione. Oops, some of these cards got all twisty. This is my little card I keep in there just to remind myself what my deck is called. Sometimes I forget the names of my decks. Okay, so here we go, a little shuffle with my little square deck. By the way, I did a video, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago. I did a DIY Oracle cards video. So you just type that in, Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, DIY Oracle cards. And actually I showed everybody how to make these. So in case you're interested, I did a little DIY tarot cards, how to make your own Oracle cards. You know, if you ever wanted a fun little project. And speaking of fun projects, I'm gonna be getting a new sewing machine. I'm so excited because I had a sewing machine, but it's time for me to cast it off on a Viking funeral. And it's time for a new one. I'm gonna get kind of my beginner's industrial Singer sewing machine. So super excited, heavy duty. We're doing denim and leather, baby. But I have some projects already lined up in my head. One of them I got to make a pattern for, but super excited, you know, can't wait to start showing you maybe some of the little things I create with my sewing machine. Because although, yes, I know how to sew by hand, it just takes freaking forever and I'm impatient. So, okay, we'll put that there. Alrighty, looks like we have our cards. John said, was a good video. Oh, thank you. And Susie says, I ordered a few books yesterday on folk magic. I'm being called to work with more magic. Ooh, very cool. Getting back to our ancestral roots, where every ancestor on this planet at one point or another worked with herbs and Gaia, and yeah, you know, I think it's time to get back to that. You know, I know that there's a lot that the modern world has given us, you know, a lot that we have created as a human race, you know, a lot of modern advances, but also I think that there are some things that were valuable that maybe have been brushed aside because they've been considered, you know, less advanced or not super modern or techie, you know, and sometimes just because something isn't in style or isn't the now doesn't mean it didn't have value. And so I think that's why so many people are tapping into a lot of their ancestral lineage, but also the collective consciousness, like lineage as well. So I think that's amazing. All right, so let's take a look at our cards. Ooh, we have the fifth power, which is I am body and a soul. And something I was reading about is Mary Magdalene, when she was working with Jesus, you know, how in the, well, those of you that are maybe at least know a little bit about Christianity, they talk about the 7 deadly sins, you know, in the current Bibles that we have. Whereas in the past, you know, let's say in the Magdalene Gospels, it wasn't the 7 deadly sins, you know, something that you should just avoid, not look at, or not even, you know, we don't want to mess with it. You know, it's scary, bad, juju, go away. But instead, she looked at it as the 7 powers of the ego, and that as these ego things come up for us, like let's say thinking that you are your human vessel, you know, that's a very ego thing to believe because that's what the ego believes, right? That all there is this vessel. She says, but it's a power of the ego, meaning it has the power to show us where the light and dark is in that belief, that there is healing that is within that, but also being able to acknowledge that on a conscious level so that you have an understanding of when your mind is speaking and when your higher self is speaking, when the soul is speaking. So I thought that that was, to me, a lot more balanced way of approaching something instead of calling something a deadly sin, something that I should be afraid of and throw all my fear at. and instead take back my power and say, this is a part of me. How can I take a look at it? How can I heal it? How can I utilize it? So anyway, so that's our card for the week, was the fifth power. I am a body and I am a soul, meaning that we are dualistically natured. We have a little piece of heaven, so to speak, or a little piece of source, but we also have a little piece of Gaia. Let's see here. Lily said, my response is late. I was listening in the background. I'm also a Libra moon, and my tween sun is a Libra sun. Ah, very cool. Peg said, welcome, Russ. Sorry for the delay being hit with 3D. And Susie said, Lily, I love a Libra moon. My sun is a 1-degree Libra moon. And Peg says, I sent to the moon pie too. Not sure if she will come or not. Ah. And Susie says, I have asteroid Bella at 1-degree Libra. Hey, Karen is here. She's saying happy Sunday to all. All right. So to go along with this card, let's see, the goddess we have is Wairaka. And then this looks like one of the Maori goddesses. So if you want to take a good look at her, and we'll tap in and see what message she has for us. And then from my Donna di Spirizione oracle deck that I created, we have this lady looking a little confused, staring out the window here. So let's put all of these together. All right. And then Peg says, good seeing you, Karen. Good to see you, Karen. All right, so let's dive into these. Okay, so the message being, and by the way, when I say like general message, I mean for everybody on planet Earth. Although I know not everybody on planet Earth watches these messages. I'm just tapping into the collective consciousness, which is the collective of everyone, not just human, but you know, plant, animal, mineral, everything. And so just the energy of this upcoming week is to remind ourselves that, just like this card states, that we are more than this 3D world. We are more than this 3D vessel. Not that there's anything wrong with this beautiful world. I mean, Gaia's gorgeous. I mean, look at her. And that there's nothing wrong with these vessels. You know, they help us to do what it is that we're meant here to do on this planet, you know, with all our varying capabilities and abilities, whether they be 3D, you know, skills and abilities, but also what is within that vessel, you know, all of our 4D, 5D and above type capabilities. Well, anyway, to keep that in mind though, because the ego itself, I don't ever see the ego as a bad guy. Obviously, these meditations I've been doing, I've been trying to send healing to what is the ego program, which is the cube, the cube matrix that encompasses all this. And knowing that it does have a consciousness of sorts, knowing that we can send it some healing. So knowing that this ego program we have can sometimes become overwhelmed quite easily. And that's because all it knows and understands is this vessel and the world. And so if there was no, let's say, energy beyond that, let's say there was no other dimensions, that there was nothing else, which is what the ego believes, that there's nothing else outside of my 5 senses, then yes, we could be hit with anxiety, frustrations, things that we're hearing in the news. Obviously, there are real, true things that are not so great that are happening around the world, and it can feel overwhelming. You take that along with things that are going on in our personal lives, and sometimes it seems bleak. And so this is just a reminder that before you get to that point where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm spiraling downwards, to see if we can catch ourselves this week. Maybe a brief meditation. I'm not talking like go into a 2-hour-long meditation, but stop yourself for just a couple of minutes and just come back to your breath. Just like we do when we do our guided meditations. There's a reason I always start us on the breath, because that helps to ground us. It helps us to come back to center, where we just breathe in, breathe out, and we tap into our higher self. Just sometimes tapping into that higher self, just remembering that we're more than what we see, we're more than what we look at in the mirror. Sometimes that's enough to kind of get us out of our head and back into an alignment with our soul. So this is just a reminder to maybe do that a few times this week, or maybe several times, or as many times as you need this week. It's just, if you feel that overwhelm, like there's just too much, we come back to center. We come back to the higher self, and a remembrance that everything that's happening, we are a part of it. It's not something that's happening at us, but it's something that's happening for us. And maybe we don't understand the full plan yet. Maybe we don't see the whole perspective yet, but our higher self does. And that's why we got to come back to the higher self. That's why we tap into it. Because otherwise, our ego will run amok, and there's really nothing it can do except worry and fret, because certain things that are happening on the world, like I as an individual, I can't just go over there and go fix it. But I as an energetic being, the more I heal what's happening in 3D. So it is an inwards thing. As much as we can do things outwards, I know that there are people who donate things, there are people who make things for others, and there are many kind things that you guys do, which is wonderful. And I wouldn't discourage that at all. But I say I would say things that really create some bigger changes in this world is the changes that we're making on the inside. And I think that's why we're seeing the things we're seeing in this world right now. And, we could see it as positive. We could also see it as negative, because there's light and dark in everything. I'm not going to say that, everything, is wonderful and great right now, because I'd be denying the darkness that's also in the world, the darkness that is also part of me. And so I have to go in and heal that darkness, try to understand that darkness so that I can understand what's going on in the world. When I see things as too dark or too scary, I want to know why I'm scared. I want to know why I have fear. I want to know why I want to turn away from that darkness. Is there because there's something within me that I'm trying to turn away from? The world is just a reflection, of what's going on inside of me. And every one of us, I don't mean me as in I'm the sole person on this planet, but I'm just saying me as an example. And so, yeah, just kind of keeping that in mind. Just come back to center, come back to the higher self. Be reminded of what your personal mission is, and that all of these things that are happening right now, no matter what country they're happening in, is because we have been making changes. People have been going inward. They have been wanting to see something change. And in order for something to change, sometimes it does take the form of destruction. That tower card where things have to crumble and fall before they're rebuilt. Is that the only way we can go about things? Of course not. But it seems like this is the timeline that we're on. And so with that timeline, okay, all right, well, what can we do about it? I can go in and heal. I know that I can do that. And that's way more empowering than sitting there just saying all the things that I can't do, that I wish that I could do this. I wish that I could do this. Well, there is something big that I could do, and I can heal myself. And I can look at my own darkness, and I can look at my own light. And I know that's something that you guys can do as well, that we can do as a collective. So that's the message coming in nice and hot from our cards today. Let me go back here as I missed some of your comments. Oh, hey, Kayla's here. Hey, Kayla. How's it going, girl? And Peg said yes. Vic also, Moonchild and me. Lisa's saying hello to Kayla. Susie said new profile pic, Kayla. Is that your birdie? I love Kayla's little birdie. It's so cute. Russ said hello. Good Sunday to you, KDS worker. Kayla said yes, her name is Frankie. She is a cockatiel rescued from the outside. Karen said, I feel so badly today because I slept through one of my appointments this morning. I've been very anxious lately. I think that's a sign from spirit that it's time to come back inwards. Feeling all of that anxiety, especially oversleeping, is just I guess the body's way of saying it's time to give yourself a rest, like a mental rest, spiritual rest, and just bring your vibration back to a nice slow vibration. And Kayla said about her birdie, she's sweet and feisty. Susie's sending Karen hugs. Karen says, how does everyone here stop themselves from spiraling when overwhelmed? Well, that's something I was just kind of talking about is I've just, I mean, I can only speak for myself. Obviously, I can't speak for everybody in here. But I've just gotten really good at catching myself and seeing the markers. Like sometimes when I know like I'm starting to head down that spiral, you know, it's usually a very conscious decision that, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and let myself spiral, because, you know, that's sometimes that's what I want to do, and there's learning in that. But I haven't done that in a while. I think just because I've gotten better at catching myself, I've decided that the learning can be done sans spiraling. So normally I catch myself. You know, I see where my thoughts are going. I see how I'm feeling in my body. Usually doesn't feel very good. Again, you know, my sleep would also be disrupted as well. And I ask myself, okay, who's talking right now? Who's feeling all of this? Is this my ego or is this my higher self? Obviously, the answer is ego. Okay, so if I'm feeling, well, actually, what am I feeling is usually what I want to take a look at. So I might have to write it down sometimes of all the things I'm feeling, because I might not be feeling just one emotion. It might be a lot of different emotions. And so I'll write down all those different emotions, and I will be like, so what just happened to kind of kick this off? And I might have to go back in my memory and really start seeing, was there anything triggering? Is there anything that I saw? Like, what was the kickoff? Because obviously everything else was feeding into that spiral, but what was the major event that maybe started it? And it could have been something innocuous, like, I don't know, missed putting gas in the Jeep or something, got gas all over the side of the Jeep. I don't know, whatever the event could have been. And then I say, okay, so if that's the triggering event, what are my emotions trying to show me right now? And sometimes if there's a lot of different emotions, those different emotions are trying to show you different areas in our life, probably in our past, sometimes in our past life type past, that is connected to the feelings surrounding the current event, the present event. And because that's happening, now my ego self is taking all of that past information and everything that happened in the past, and is placing it into the present. And so now I see past and present as joined, and now the event that's occurring in front of me seems like a much bigger event, because now not only am I triggered by what's happening in front of me, but I've taken all of my past issues, programming, and I'm placing it onto the present, which makes it much larger than maybe it would really be. Whereas, some people may look at it and they say, oh, well, that doesn't bother me. Well, that's because they don't have the trauma associated with that particular situation, and that's why it doesn't bother them. But we could do the same. We can go in and we can take a look at those areas in need of healing. And is it going to be healed up in one day? Probably not. But at least we have the power to look at what's actually going on, that's being projected onto this present situation. And so that taking our power back in that way should lessen some of that anxiety, because now the ego is like, oh, you're doing something about it now? Oh, we're taking steps? Oh, okay. And oftentimes the ego will kind of like back off a little bit because its job is done. It's like, okay, he or she felt the anxiety or felt the emotions. All right, well, if you're doing something about it, okay, cool. But if we're not doing anything about it, we're not healing about it, and there's nothing physically we can do in 3D, then yeah, the ego is just gonna spiral, because it wants to take action. That's what an ego does. It likes action. It wants to feel like it's needed. It wants to do something. And so that's why we say, like, we do meditation or we do healing. That's doing something. So the ego can go take a nap ski, and then the spirit can take care of the rest, which is us. But that's just my way of looking at things. I know you guys might have something different, which I'd be happy to hear. Let's see, Kayla said, thanks, Susie. I'm planning to make her an Instagram soon. Aw, that's so cute. Susie says, let me know when you do so I can follow her. Thank you, Kayla. John says, I've been working on my resistance. Coming back to the breath is deaf when I need more often. Peg says, I am the light, I am the love, I am the truth, not my emotions. I am an experience. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Nice. And John said, belly breathing, stimulating the vagus nerve. And Umbra said, Rumi, the Sufi poet, once said, the heart needs to be broken to open. That's beautiful. Mike says, it's Mother's Day. Ah. And Katia says, the hardest part is catching self. I think the catching self more is the, when you know the unpleasant feeling is coming about. Like the first sign of I don't feel so good, or I'm not sleeping so good. Sometimes things happen in the body before we can start to feel them emotionally, and sometimes for other people it's vice versa. So just when things seem out of the ordinary with you, like all of a sudden my sleeping habits are off, or I've been immersing myself in my work more than usual, as a form of distraction, or you notice that you're a little bit more frantic than usual. I'm just kind of giving off like, different catalysts sometimes, or I seem to worry a little more than usual. That's usually the start, I would say, of spiraling sometimes. And Katie says, I love, who is feeling this emotion right now? Is it my ego or my higher self? And Susie says, I kept hearing the song, Here Comes the Sun, da 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 da. John says, yeah, remembering I'm not the emotion. Yes, the emotion is just a way for healing to speak to us. It's a part of us, but it doesn't encompass us. Katie says, I know what triggered me this week. My sister replied to my text of, how are you feeling? She accidentally thought she was replying to her friend, and she answered terrible, and now I feel like she is. Oh, I see. I see. And John says, remembering that I'm the one who can parent myself now. Yep. And Katie says, hiding her true cancer experience from me to protect me. I see. So then what it would be, just kind of looking into it, just kind of tapping into your energy a little bit, is the being left in the dark. And it could have been something that happened in childhood, could be something that happened more in past life, where there were people, although well-meaning, maybe wanting to protect you from seeing certain things or knowing certain things, so they kept that information from you. And you being a person who loves information, you're always asking questions, you're reading the books, you're trying to expand yourself as much as you can. You want to know everything. And so when somebody is keeping something from you, I would say, of course, that would be a big trigger, for you, because it's like, I want to know information. For you, information is free. Information is open. We should be worthy of accessing this information at all times. So to have somebody that you love cut off that communication and say, I'm going to keep this information from you, yes, I could see how that would definitely hurt. So knowing that that would be the triggering event, it's the action of what your sister is doing, although well-meaning, it's causing discourse on your end. So going inwards and seeing, where else has that happened in my life where I felt like I should have information. Information is free and open, but this person is keeping information from me. It could have been a parent, as benign as you're not allowed to know what you can have on Christmas. I'm going to keep your gifts a surprise. But it could be a little bit more than that, where maybe parental figures or maybe even teachers have decided not to teach you something because they felt like you weren't ready, or that they're protecting you in some way. And for you, I would say that this is just a form of communication that doesn't suit you so well. Having this blockage of communication where you like that easy flowing back and forth, like we should be really open with each other type communication. So instead, just going inwards at any person in your life or any situation, whether it's this life or past life, where you felt saddened by information being kept from you, where the flow of communication was cut off in some way. And if you can find the event or events or the person, maybe that surrounds, then we send love to them for showing us their own shadows, for showing us where we could heal, and sending them healing and gratitude, or for the situation itself, but also forgiving and loving ourselves. I forgive myself for carrying this along, with me for so long, and I forgive myself for placing this past onto my present. I now release this. I let this go. I don't need to feel these anxieties anymore surrounding this type of event or person. And we just keep going back in. We keep doing it over and over again until it's lessened and lessened, and to the point where something like this wouldn't bother you in the future. So just a little, I guess, pop in to kind of take a look at that. Let's see. Oh, Mystique is here. It says, fairy blessings, KWT, and everyone. Hello. Mike says, sending love to all in the chat. Mystique says, thank you, Susie. That's an interesting spelling. Did you name yourself after the Suzuki car? Nice. And Susie's like, no, but I like the correlation. Alrighty, so are you guys ready for some wind magic? All right, I'll put James's little Tonto off to the side. Well, I guess it's not that little. Alrighty. Okay, so we have a nice gentle breeze. This will be great. I might have to move the camera so you guys can see what we're doing. Okay, wind magic. Let's talk about it. So for me, wind magic, or any sort of working with elements, whether I'm working with fire or whatever it may be, it's just a recognizing of that element within myself. And so, I was just talking about, for me, that breath is very important. That when I feel chaotic, when I feel like I'm all over the place, it's what stills me is my breath. It's the gentle, rhythmic in and out, bringing things in, release, bringing in and release. And I feel like when I work with the wind, or maybe just feel it in all its aspects, sometimes we're getting like 50 mile an hour, sometimes 75 mile an hour gusts here, which is crazy. And sometimes it's a gentle breeze like it is today, or sometimes it's absolutely still. And so what I like to look at is, first and foremost, how am I feeling in the wind today? Sometimes I'm a little agitated in the wind. Like some days it'll be blowing like crazy and I'm just frustrated because there's things that I want to do outside. But I take a look at the situation, and maybe it's not truly that the wind is blowing and it is keeping me from doing things I want to do, but maybe that's just a perspective. I think it's keeping me from the things that I want to do. So instead I need to go inwards, as the wind does, and I bring myself back to my breath. And what is the wind trying to teach me right now? Is it because when the wind is at its full force and it's powerful and it can blow things over, that maybe I'm a little intimidated by that because it's a show of force, which is maybe sometimes things that I'm fearful of in myself. I'm afraid of my own power sometimes, as a light being. That maybe I'm afraid that I might hurt feelings, or with the things that I say when I'm speaking my truth, or sometimes I keep from saying things because I want to keep the peace. And so I would be a little triggered by wind that just, it doesn't care how other people feel about it. It just is, like, it's just being its true authentic self. If it feels like gusting that day, then that's what it feels like doing. And everybody else, they're in charge of how they feel about it. I'm not in charge of their feelings, is what the wind says. And so there is something that I could learn from the wind in that. And so that's why I like, working with wind magic. That's why I like tuning into the wind, is because for me, it really shows me aspects of myself that are still in need of healing, and aspects of myself that I have honed pretty well. So let's see here. Mystique says, ooh, wind magic. As a fairy, I was literally born of the wind. Nice. And Susie said, the wind is kicking up even more now. Excellent. Lisa says, just lost connection, but she's back. And oh yeah, you guys are wondering, I'm Tara. That's me. Peg says, wind takes energy and pushes it. That's why you always need a nap after being outside in the wind. You need to replenish what the wind stole. What do you think? Ah, interesting. Very interesting. I like that. Okay, well, I decided for a little wind magic today. Sometimes I like to do things all complicated and bougie, and some things I like to do not so complicated. And for me, the complication doesn't make the magic. That's just more ego stuff, like how elaborate and complicated do I want to be? But it's the intention that is the most important. So what is your soul's intention, your heart's intention, and making sure that you're in alignment with that? And John says that he likes to use it to clear his aura, which is awesome. All right, so for this, and you don't have to do it like me, I'm just showing you one of a bazillion different ways I guess you could work with the wind. But I have a pink Sharpie here. I went with pink because I was going more heart-based energy. So you can maybe choose a color pen based on the chakra that you're working on, or the color that you associate with the particular type of magic that you're doing. Or if all you have is a black pen, that's fine too. Then, we're all about putting intentions. The actual color of things and all that, that's probably more ego stuff, but it helps get my ego and my spirit in alignment, at least for me. So all right, Angela's here. She says hugs and blessings. Everyone's sending you love and hugs today. Lots of love and lots of light, blessings, and cake day today. All right, so I have my pink pen for heart chakra. And then I have a jar of my roses here. Now these are my very special roses because they come from my home that I used to live in San Diego, from my little rose garden that I created. So these are my white and my red roses. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be writing on these little rose petals, or putting sigils if you would like, instead of writing words, maybe hieroglyphs. And putting what it is that you want to be carried away by the wind. So you can do this as a form of releasing energy, like I would like the wind to help me to release this. The wind element, which is also me. So the element within me, please show me how to release this. So we could do that. We could do releasing ceremony. We could do things for bringing things in. So I could write a little something that I would like to be brought in, but I will let it be carried away by the wind, but also my breath, which are words, might speak some words, so that the cyclical energy that there is comes back around, hopefully with what I've, set out into the world. But how it comes back, that's up to the universe, but it's my job, as a spirit, as a human, to make sure that I am open to these opportunities, that my eyes are clear enough to be able to see my wish as it comes back to me in whatever form it comes back in, because it may not be the way our ego may have seen it before it left. So you can bring in anything. You could enhance something if you want to grow something. Maybe you want to release something, but definitely set your intention beforehand. I do have one more little thing here, and I brought oats. So you might be wondering why I have these oats. Well, I believe oats are really good for almost like clear quartz, like bringing an abundance to something. So I want to mix my rose petals with these oats, as kind of multiplying is my intention. Multiplication and abundance and growth is what I'm looking for. And I'm going to have these carried away on the wind. What I like is that since they're both plant material, oats and roses, they're going to be really good for wherever they fly and whatever tree they fly to. And eventually they will become soil once again. So it's going to be really good for the soil and for the earth around here in the forest. So those are the only two things I have for this particular wind magic. So rose petals, oats, pink pen. I try to keep it really simple, just in case you guys wanted to do this along with us. And your rose petals don't have to be dry. They could be fresh rose petals if you wish. Just know it might be a little harder to write on them, but or maybe you don't have to write on them at all. You just write on them with your mind, Okay, so let's go back here. Angela's blessings, Mystique, and all. Alisa's here. Hello, hello. Peg says, I shouldn't have said still, I guess. The wind rearranges energies, takes what it needs, which is what you don't need. So it's a balanced dance. Very nice. And Angela says, ooh, dry roses are so pretty. Actually, speaking of dried roses, these earrings that I made them with my roses as well. So I made little rose beads just with water and roses, basically. Mushed them into a bead and made earrings out of them. So now whenever like it gets really hot and like the oil from my skin kind of rubs up on the oil of these earrings, like I smell a little bit of the roses. It's kind of cool. Angela says, did you know a dry rose can last over a century sometimes if kept well? I find that amazing. Really? That's cool. Elisa says, I love oats. Peg says, thickening it up. Nice. John said, rose is the energy of diamond. If you can't afford it, work with it. Afford to work with it. Very nice. Yeah, you know, I love the, yeah, I would say, yeah, diamond and rose, they both have that very similar energy. Because if you think of diamonds being created under immense pressure and roses themselves growing in some crazy conditions, yet, you know, people tend to pamper roses like, oh, if I don't, you know, nitpick and take care of it. But roses grow wild, man. I mean, they're a pretty tough species of plant. And that's why I love rose. You know, not only is it beautiful and delicate and brings in all of these pollinators and can come in all these gorgeous colors and thorned and unthorned, and it has all these ways of protecting itself, but also is extremely resilient. And so yeah, I love me a good rose. So beautiful and freaking warrior on the inside. I love it. Let's see. Mike says it's raining here in England. And Karen said, wow, cool earrings. Russ says, oats are great for when you're really, really hungry and you want to eat 1,000 of something. Dude, I love me some oatmeal. It's like my comfort food. Angela said, I heard of people making rose clay rosaries for Mother Mary. Oh, that's probably how they made these little rose beads. It's just basically pulverized rose and water, and it turns it into a clay almost, and you can make yourself little beads. Elisa says, I wonder if you guys heard anything about a certain Ryan Garcia. No? Angela says, they both also have protective, motherly, angelic vibes. I love staring at both rose and diamonds. John says, that's why rosaries are called rosaries. They're originally bear of rose beads made of the flower. Nice. And Lily said, I've read that rose has the highest frequency of all flowers. I'd say it's a pretty high frequency plant. Not to discount all of its brethren around here, but yeah, I do love adding it to almost everything that I create. I use roses. Angela says, oatmeal with melted Cadbury cream eggs and pecans is my Easter breakfast. Holy schmoly. That is quite the breakfast. That is, I would love a picture of that. Like broken open Cadbury egg. That'd be awesome. Peg says, I have dried oranges. So would I do something around a sacral theme? Yeah, but also you can use it around a solar plexus theme, because I often associate oranges and lemons and, you know, oranges and yellows along with the solar plexus. So thinking about soul energy, anything that you want to do with the sun that you want to brighten, clear away, especially with its zestiness, if you want to bring in creativity. Think of fire energy with oranges. It's sweet, but it's tangy too, so it's got a lot of fire energy. Katie says, I love the scent of orange peels. Actually, that's what I have in my tea today. I made a little tea for the new moon, which, by the way, new moon and Pisces blessings, guys. Almost forgot to say that. And it's a super moon today, so super new moon, heck yeah. And it's right in these portal energies that we have, these eclipse energies coming up. We have that eclipse coming up with the full moon, I guess a few weeks from now. But yeah, very cool. But I made this tea. and it's still, I guess, steeping a little bit. But I made it with pu'er, which is an aged tea, and mine's aged from like 1982, so it's pretty aged, which gives it a big potency. So I have pu'er tea. I put in Egyptian blue lotus, a little bit of vanilla bean. There's some dried orange peel in there. Let's see, what else did I put? I put a little bit of mugwort for, you know, crown chakra, third eye opening. I feel like there was something else that I put in here, but maybe I did not. Oh, red clover. That was the last thing. So yeah, I put in red clover as well, just for divine feminine energy, because we had that Mother Goddess Day yesterday as well. And then a little bit of honey to kind of sweeten it up. So that is potente. But I think the vanilla bean and the honey like really balance it out, because pu'er can be a bit bitter. Okay, let's see. Susie loves orange as well. Elisa says, sorry for bringing up this low frequency topic. Oh, no, there's not low frequency at all. We love chit-chatting. Angela says, the most protective of all flowers is delphinium weeds. Don't like to grow next to it. And let me tell you, if flowers had fingers, it would be snapping things into shape. Oh, wow. Peg said, motivation and freshness. Angela said, oh, it's so fun. I'll take a picture if I remember. What I do is cut the egg in two and place it on either side of the hot oatmeal and just gradually stir it in. Oh my gosh. Send me a picture, girl. Mystique says, if you remember, Mystique is my fairy guide. A few days ago, I became her. Oh, wow. So cool. Angela said, chocolate and cream, or abundance and sweetening pecans for being grounded in healing. And then sometimes some cinnamon for extra protection. Mystique says, I want to apologize for my actions a few weeks ago. Sometimes you have to break to be pulled back together. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that today as well. And so, yeah, no worries. We're all here to heal. Angela says, I recommend you try it sometime. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Says, I'm willing to forgive. Always, how can we expect to be forgiven if we don't sometimes let others who are to try genuinely to change get a second chance? Exactly. All right, so let's have a little bit more tea, just so I can ground and center myself. That's how I ground and center, is actually with tea, things like that, sometimes with chocolate. Yeah, and let's do a little bit of wind magic. So I would like to first take out my rose petals. So maybe let's go down here to my lap. Okay, and let's see. I'm gonna go with 4 rose petals because 4 is one of my favorite numbers that I like to work with. We'll do 2 reds, 2 whites. Let's get a nice red petal here. There's a nice red petal. And we'll do a white here. Okay, so now we have 4 rose petals. And just for me, you know, like in Native American tradition, 4 is the number of stability. Also in Mayan tradition, it represents the 4 seasons, the 4 times of day, you know, sectional times a day, the 4 stages of adulthood, the 4 pillars that hold up the earth. That's just a very grounded number. We think of like 4-legged animals and those that walk closely to the earth. So I have my rose petals here. I have my pink pen, and we're just going to write some things that I would like to grow or thicken, so to speak, with the oats that we also have. Okay, so let me think of my intention as the wind kicks up. This is excellent. Okay. So I would like to grow in terms of my consciousness. I want to continue growing and healing. So I want more to come my way, so that I might expand my consciousness and so that I might grow. Whether or not that's uncomfortable to me, that's up for my ego to decide whether or not it's uncomfortable. But I know that whatever's sent my way will be for my best and highest good. Okay, so I want to grow my consciousness. Okay, so I have something written on my first leaf. Oh, hey Raven, how are you? That's so Raven. Okay, I also like to do a little heart to remember to enhance love for self. Not in a vain sort of way, but a universal love, source love kind of way. All right, and then I have my other two flower petals here. And I would also like to, let's see, what else do I want to thicken and grow? My connection to the all. So, connection. Write really lightly if you're using rose petal. These are really crumbly and old, so write very gently. Connection to all. Okay, other things I want to thicken, grow in abundance. My voice. Actually, that's a shadow I've been working on. Is my voice. I've done all these things with my voice. I have a YouTube channel. I like talking to people. I've always loved writing stories and telling stories. I loved singing when I was an opera singer. But sometimes I keep my voice small, and that's just something I'm working on healing. Okay. All right, so I have my rose petals. I'm going to put a little bit of oats into my hands, as I would like to bring more fruition. I would like to grow, I would like to thicken this. Okay, so we have some oats here. You don't need that many. This is all going to become soil someday anyway. So this is good for the forest. All right. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep my hand mostly closed like this. All right, let me see what you guys had to say, and then let's go cast these out. So the whole time, setting my intention. Let's see here. Lisa said, bless up, Mystique. Susie says, love your nail polish. Well, thank you. It's starting to chip now, but I was like really excited about doing these pinky nails. Like make them look like malachite and other greenstones, emerald. I was thinking of doing something fun with my nails next, something witchy. Mystique says, and everyone, please pray for my friend Michelle, one of the residents here. She lost her father and is in mourning. We'll definitely send our good juju, our prayers, good vibes her way. Angela said, Mother Mary and Mother Gaia, the elements and the Fae, please bless these roses and help Tara with her manifestations. Please today, amen. And everybody sending their prayers, also saying amen. Angela said, blessings to the families of those who crossed the rainbow today. May they find peace and love and know our loved ones are never far away. Grief is just love with no place to go. May we help find its way. Amen. Angela said, hello Raven, I love you. Mystique said, ravens, spiritual messengers. Angela said, ravens are always around me lately and I don't know why, but I hear them all the time. Well, Raven comes around during times of great change and transformation. So I see that as a good sign. Mike says, Gone with the Wind is one of my favorite films. It's so you know of Tara. Angela said, one even showed me a mouse he captured. He flew over my head this big with a mouse in his beak and flew low to show off his prize. Wow. She said also, if you want to do an egg spell, you can use chocolate eggs around Easter. I love to use those. And John says, wipe it across your forehead. It'll soften it and engage your third eye. Angela says they're convenient because they don't expire quickly and you can have them on the altar or charging, then eat. I hadn't thought of that. Excellent. I love it. She said, ooh, and I wonder what they're trying to tell me, Mystique. Mystique says, aren't you wearing a raven necklace? No, actually this one is my Isis necklace, and I have my rose necklace on, and my wolf tooth that I always have, my little rose earrings that I made. And Katia says, I'm beginning to understand the Angela Prayer Poems username. Ah, okay. And Peg says, still trying to figure out what we are supposed to rub on a forehead, chocolate Easter egg or the oatmeal? Maybe both. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So I'm gonna get up here. Let's see. Maybe I'll lift this up. We're going for a ride. We're going up, you guys. All right. Okay. I'm gonna come over here. I guess you could still hear me. Alrighty, so now I'm out in the breeze. I have my 4 rose petals. I chose the number 4 because to me that's a magical number that I've worked with since I was like 5 years old. And I used a pink pen, to kind of, encompass the energy of love. That all of these are coming from a place of love, all of these wishes that I have. And I'm going to let them go in the wind. I also have a little bit of oats in here just to kind of thicken it up, so to speak, or to bring more abundance to. And very interesting, one of my tree things blew over. All right, so I'm thinking about all of the things I wrote down. What I'm doing is just grounding myself at the moment. Source, to my heart space, calling on the energy of the wind, so I feel the wind in my body first before I begin to feel it outside of my body. So right now I'm just calling a little bit of gentle breeze with my breath. I remind myself my breath is the wind. I am Gaia. Gaia is wind. Okay, let's bring you guys back down. Susie says Boo Boo Kitty was watching me. Aww. Send Boo Boo some love for me. Okay. Alrighty. And here we are, and we're back. So just a simple little spell. Let's go back here. Angela said the egg you mix with more oatmeal and eat. John said flowers that are crunchy. Yes. Mystique said goddess Isis, Egyptian goddess of life and magic. Very nice. Angela said, as within, so without. Sweeten the situation by sweetening the heart and soul and taking abundance in today to make transitions sweet as sugar in every way. Amen. Goddess Isis, glorious vibes. I have a tarot card with her image. Every time I see it, the energy is so nice and strong. Her card stares back at me. Peg saying, thank you, John. And just said, hugs and blessings, Susie. How are you? We hope all is well today and that your cake manifestations came to you today. Doing jump hugs. And just says, give Boo Boo some scritchies for me. Mike says, sounds like kite flying weather. Oh, it is. Let me tell you. It's actually a perfect day to fly a kite. Maybe we'll do that later. All right, you guys, we have gotten to the portion of our chat where we can do some super chats and super stickers if you'd like. We started off with our weekly reading, diving into those cards. Actually, I still have those cards out. So if you missed the weekly reading, you'll find that at the very beginning of our chat today. And of course, all the other lovely messages other people in the chat had as well. We also did a very simple utilization of the wind for some wind magic, reminding ourselves that we are the magic and the wind is us and we are the wind. And now we can go into super chat, super stickers, and then afterwards we will do our channeled guided meditation, which is what I love doing at the end of all of our chats. Angela says, I'm not manifesting all of these sweets to give you an upset stomach. Whenever cake or cookies are in my house, I do a sweetener magic to clear the vibe and sweeten things up. Mystique says, still can't donate, but should be able to soon. Hey, no worries. Angela says, cake and cookies have nice ingredients for sweetening and making situations more fertile and nicer. So I'm trying to send you cake to send you sweetness because I want to share cake. Hey, speaking of little cakes, James had suggested that I create a little something in the kitchen, as I like to do a little kitchen magic. And I created my vanilla muffins that I made before. You guys saw when we made the vanilla muffins, or sorry, vanilla cupcakes. Anyway, it was vanilla cupcakes. And then he wanted me to use the filling that I use for apple pie. So I made the apple pie filling and I put it inside of the vanilla cupcakes. And it was like apple pie cake. It was the best. I'm going to have to make those again because they were so freaking good. So, anywho. Versus what's the for Boo Boo Kitty and for the cupcakes and Angela's cakes. And says plus the cake you can do color magic as well, adding different color frosting and sugar. Ojiba babe, all right. So yeah, let me know what your question is. I will pull you a card, or if you'd like, we could do a general message. We could just see what your higher self has to say. But I'm going to use the cosmic slumber here. So just make sure I have all the cards. Okay. Sorry, just making sure my cards don't fly away in the wind. Let's see. Angela's like, ooh, I bet that tasted amazing. Oh, it sure was. She said, totally gives me Queen Hera vibes. That recipe, her garden mythology, with the golden apple tree that everyone wanted the apples from, even the gods. I love to offer her apple pie. Well, take a basic vanilla cupcake recipe and make your apple pie filling and just pour a little bit of it into the tins. So like you have your little cupcake tins with the little liners. You pour a little bit of the batter, I would say like maybe a third of the batter, and then put a little bit of the apple pie filling, fill it up so it's about a quarter of the way from the top, and then bake it up so it has, room to become a little muffin top, I guess. And it's so freaking good. So But all right. Let's see. Susie said apple pie is my favorite. So yeah, let's just ask our friend Ojiba Babe what her question is. Oh, she says, I think I wanted to know about what's ahead. Lots of projects and grassroots organizing. Also been defending land and water and would like to know how I can be successful in stopping extraction mining. Ah, I see. This is, or whatever else comes to you. This is my first one. Hey, no worries. Let's tap in. So a lot of grassroots projects, basically working with Mama Gaia, sounds like, helping to protect her resources and all of that. So yeah, let's do a little tap in, and then we'll have our friend Karen as well. So let's tap into Ojiba. Okay, so before I pull a card for you, I know this is your first one, so I'll explain kind of what I do. Before I pull a card for somebody, as I'm tapping into their energy, sometimes, but not all the times, I will see a clip of a movie or a TV show, or I'll hear a song or like a phrase or quote or something. And so as I was tapping into your energy, I was getting the theme song for Three's Company. You know, that show from the 70s with Jack Tripper and everybody. So it was like the Three's Company too. So I don't know how that connects to you, but maybe the card will make more sense. But yeah, I was getting the come on, knock at my door, do 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 do. Someone's waiting for you. Three's Company too. Okay, so let's tap in. Oh, all right. Looks like we have our card. We have the let's see. We have the Nine of Torches, which is like your Nine of Wands. Okay, so let's go ahead and tap into this one. Okay. All right. It was actually Gaia that was coming through on this one. You know, I was trying to tap into your higher self, but Gaia is like, well, basically, you guys are me, I am you, we're all one. So it is kind of your higher self, but it's also Gaia's consciousness, since you do work with her quite a bit. And although she is very appreciative of all the projects that you're doing and all the ways that you're trying to help, protect her resources, help make sure that she grows effortlessly in all the ways. She says the projects to focus on most, not to discount all your other projects, but the ones to focus on most at this time is to think about the projects that not only help Gaia, but help you at this time. What she means is when you, let's say you were talking about the like mining of her precious resources. She says when you go inwards, think about how that theme of Gaia being mined has been a theme within your life. Like perhaps feeling violated in some way, where somebody tried to get information from you, or perhaps they actually stole something from you, something physical maybe. She says, and to look at the connection between the two, understanding, okay, there was something, that I felt violated when somebody stole something from me, or they took something, or they took an idea of mine, or they took my words the wrong way, let's say, so to speak. And how does that help me to feel that connection between what Gaia is going through and what I'm going through? So making that heart-based connection and understanding that as you are helping her, your promise then is to also heal that similar situation in your own life. So I go in and heal the feelings of, feeling violated, or my boundaries are crossed, or, unfairly taking something that I didn't want to give. And as I heal this on the external level, I'm also healing Gaia with this. And she says, and to focus on those types of projects, because she feels like there's double the amount of healing and double the amount of effect that you're able to have in the 3D world because of what you're doing in the 4D world. So she says, so think of all the projects in that way. You may have lots of glorious ideas. In fact, she knows that you have a lot of different, diverse ideas of the ways that you can help her. And she says they're all grand and good. But she also wants you to be able to help yourself as well. She wants you to heal as she heals. So she says, in any way that you want to help me to heal, I want you to find that aspect in yourself as well. And if it's hard to find that aspect at this time, then find a different project or move on to the next project where you feel it here in your heart chakra, where you know that this is something personal to me. And I also feel that me being able to understand it in this way, in this very personal way, I can then therefore make bigger changes when it comes to me working with Gaia and helping her in those grassroots organizations that I am a part of, so that you guys have this symbiotic relationship, this connection between how you're healing and how you're trying to heal her. So that's just the advice coming through from Gaia is, and start on, you probably have several things going on at once, but make sure that those ones that have a personal connection for you and your own personal life, that those are the ones that you start first or that you focus on first. And like she said, she's happy with all the other things that you're doing. Continue doing those, but give those other ones your greater attention. And she says, and as those heal, she says, then focus your attention on the other projects that come to mind that, are as, she goes, as always happens when something is mined, something else always comes up. There's always a little something else. She goes, same thing for you as you're technically mining within the self, mining for your healing. Something else is going to come up and is also going to make other connections for the other projects that you're connected to. She says you wouldn't be connected to those projects if it wasn't also a part of your own healing. So you're definitely on the right track. She says, by the way, nobody's ever off their path. You're always on your path. It may look a little wayward at times, but you're always on your path. So, all right. Well, thank you, Ojiba, for letting me to tap in to Gaia and your higher self. So thank you, thank you. Let's see. Let's go back here. Oh, we have Lily as well. Let's see. Angela says, thank you for the recipe idea. Janine says, I fancy rhubarb crumble with custard now. Ooh. Angela says, I've got my Mama Gaia statue right here. I'll tap in. Peg says, Ojiba with the Earth and Angels vibe. This will be good. Everybody loves Three's Company, apparently. And just said, Mama Gaia sends her thanks and her love to you. She reminds you not to wear yourself out or get into any danger or injuring yourself, protecting her. She adores the help, but adores those walking on her too. So keep doing what you're doing, but make sure you're safe, okay? Be careful, don't get hurt. You're making a difference, and everyone is so proud of you today. And Peg says, you're doing it. You are so spot on. All right. So we have our friend Karen, and then we have our friend Lily. And everybody thanking Ojiba Babe for helping to heal Gaia. Angela says she loves a balanced exchange. I've worked with her for a long time, since baby witch years. Gaia likes to exchange energy and see where you can help each other. She is so sweet. Mother Earth love. Ojiba said, yes, the land. I defend it traditionally, where my brothers and sisters' creation story comes from. That's wonderful. Ojiba says, protect Hakamwe and protect Oak Flat are two areas. Beautiful. All right, so we'll take a look at our friend Karen. John says, have to step away and take care of an emergency. Hazards of working in a kitchen. All right, well, take care, John. Make sure you always have some baking soda nearby for those grease fires. All right, so thank you, Ojiba. Let's tap into Karen. She has a general message. We'll tap into your higher self. And then we have fun for Lily as well. And it looks like she said a general message, please. And also, can you give some advice on how to get my throat chakra in alignment? So hard to communicate, and going live on social media is so scary. Any advice? All right, we will take a look at that. Ojiba said, big blessings, y'all. Same to you. Okay, let's tap into Karen first. Okay, I think I have an Annie Lennox song that just popped into my head, Karen. I think it's Annie Lennox's "Oh Baby, Talk to Me Like Lovers Do." That's such a nice song. Okay, let's pull your card. We have the Wheel of Fortune. Excellent. All right, Karen says she knows that song. Mike is saying great song. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so your higher self was actually hearkening back to what we were talking about earlier in the chat, with, you know, there being a triggering moment with your sister wanting to protect you in some way by not giving you all the information of what's going on with her, yet you being a seeker of information, always wanting to know, you know, as much as you can, you know, from any and all sources, and kind of running it through your own, you know, personal filter, which is fantastic. But let's see, your higher self was saying there's more to it than just that. So let me tap in a little bit more. Okay, so your higher self was also talking about tests in school, and that, you know, every student has had a certain level, I guess, of anxiety or apprehension before a test. Some people really don't do well before tests, like myself. You know, my ego would always switch back and forth, like, maybe this is the right answer, this is the right answer. And so there's this kind of anxiety that we feel sometimes of second guessing ourselves. You know, maybe our soul may say one thing, but then our higher self, our ego says another thing, and then we get confused, you know, which voice is which, and which one should I be listening to, and which one is right, and trying to figure out where we want to put our faith. And so the higher self is saying that that's something similar that's happening right now, where yes, it has to deal with a mixture of being kept in the dark when it comes to information that you want to know, but also feeling like there's some sort of test going on, if that makes sense, where like it feels like all these situations, all these things that are happening is like building up to some form of test. And although this may not be in your conscious sphere, it's definitely subconscious. So the subconscious ego is a little worried because, like, do I have all of the information to be able to do well on this quote unquote test? And we're tested all the time, you know, almost every minute of every day. You know, we're tested with choices. You know, basically, what choice do you want to make right now? Is it the choice of the ego? Is it the choice of the higher self? Is it a mixture of the two? Is it, you know, something else entirely? And so just taking a look at these feelings that you've been having that have been coming up and these spiraling, and see if you can put it in the perspective of taking a test. And what have you done in the past to help quell your fears of that test? And perhaps what used to quell your fears was that I had all of the information. And when I had all of the information, then I knew I was going to do well when I took that examination. So in this case, your higher self is saying, where would you get all of that information? Like, let's say your sister is keeping information from you in, let's say, in order to protect you. She wants to protect your feelings. But if you truly wanted to know how she was feeling or what was going on, you would have to tap into your own higher self and then tap into her energy. So this is kind of a test to get you out of your ego and really into your soul more. Because it's your soul that has all of the information. It knows everything that's going on right now. It's connected to source, which is the all. It's all of us. So as many eyes as there are on this planet, that's, the eyes of your soul. You can literally look through all of these different vessels to get your information. So if it's information that has you worried at the moment, like I don't have all of the information right now to do an examination or to be asked questions on something, but I know where to get that information. That information is in my meditations. It's in connecting to my higher self. And with information comes power. And when you feel empowered in that way, that I have all of this information, now I'm not so scared when my sister's only giving me partial info, because I know exactly where to go to get all of the 411. I might be nervous about what's going on in the world, with our friends in various parts of the United States, but also various parts of the world. There are things going on. I don't maybe have all of the information, but I know where to go for that information, and I go into the higher self. And so this is a practice in getting into your higher self. It's obviously not going to be perfect. Nothing's perfect, really. That's just an ego program, but it is a practice. And so this is your time to practice. And that's why all of these things are coming up for you at the moment. That's why you feel all this anxiety at the moment, all these feeling almost overwhelmed, is to say, hey, if you're feeling this overwhelm, that's because you don't have all the information. And when you don't have all the information, you get anxious. And when you get anxious, you feel like you're not ready for anything, so it's this, I don't know what to do. But that's why we say, connect to the breath, drop in, connect to that higher self. And you say, okay, all right, I'm seeing with a lot more clarity, which helps to calm me down. And and I can move forward in that way. So just know that all these things that are happening for you at the moment. I know they don't feel very good, but this is to force you into your heart space, force you into the higher self. Of course, you can always make the decision to stay in the ego, but know that within the ego is only going to have a limited perspective, and it's going to be quite anxious. So just kind of keeping that in mind. But hopefully that makes sense. I hope so. Let's see. Let's go back here. I missed a bunch of comments here. And then we have our friend Lily, of course. Lily saying, thank you, Angela. Yes, I get it. I'm such an introvert. Ugh. Angela says, you can do it. I believe in you, and it will be okay. Wishing you love, light, blessings, and success in your endeavors in the coming days. Amen. Russ says, Helen Roper was of a higher vibration than the intolerant Mr. Roper. Karen says, my entire school years has been test anxiety, and I've even hyperventilated. I almost hyperventilated once. Seriously. Peg says, throat affirmations, wear a light blue or a green necklace. I am calm, confident, and well-spoken. I communicate effectively with everyone in my life. I express my feelings easily and freely. Sorry, Lily, that it's getting a little windy out here sometimes. Russ says, Mr. Rogers wouldn't have liked Annie Lennox. Angela says, wear an angel pendant or other protective symbol so you don't feel so alone when you're talking. And Karen says, yes, do I have all of the information? I would overstudy and still get like a C until one year a teacher had me reason why I picked an answer, and it was clear I knew the content. Eventually that was the breakthrough and moving forward, and I excelled. well, now you know that you have all the content. It's all up there in your higher self as well. And she says, I was asked to work with asylum seekers, but I'm afraid to work for the Department of Homeland Security. I don't trust that I don't have all the information. I don't want to be pulled into a moral dilemma. Ah, goodness. All right, so let's go to our friend Lily back here. I just want to get to your general. Okay, so, oops. Okay, well, got to be working with all cards in this deck. Okay, so some advice on how to get my throat chakra in alignment. It's so hard to communicate on social media. Okay, so first I'll go with some advice, and then we'll go some intuition. Okay, so advice for talking on social media, because I remember my first video. I think I was doing a deck review or I was doing a weekly reading. I don't know. I did 2 videos back to back, so it's I think I did them in the same day. And I was really nervous, and I would look at all these other like tarot YouTubers, and they all looked like really nice. So like I rarely ever wear makeup. I'm like, you know, right? So I put on makeup. I like tried to do my hair. It was right after I worked out, so I had like a good pump going, and I was like all about appearance, you know. I was like, and I just and I remember talking in a way that I thought other people would like me to talk. It was really weird. It's really cringy, actually, for me to look at my first videos. But you know what? I'm not going to take them down because I feel like the messages were genuine. They were coming from my higher self. But like my presentation, I feel like was full on cringe because I was so worried about like how other people saw me, how they heard me. And it was just like, and I leave them there so I can see how far I've grown. And so just know that the first time we do anything, we're not meant to be experts. I mean, that might be some sort of like school shadow that we all have, like we're supposed to be really good or something the first time we do anything. And the point is just to do it and speak from your heart. It doesn't matter how you sound. It doesn't matter, you know, your presentation, you know, because people connect to authenticity. And I noticed that it was really hard at the beginning for people to like come to my channel. And it was because I wasn't being authentic. Like, not really. I mean, it was partially me, but it was partially what I thought other people wanted to see. And once I started just deciding, you know, that I'm comfortable enough in front of a camera, you know, in front of my cell phone camera here, you know, doing my thing. And I was like, you know what? This isn't me. You know, the real me doesn't wear makeup all the time. I mean, sometimes I do, but it's only because I feel like it and not because I'm trying to impress anybody. You know, the real me sure dresses really weird sometimes, and sometimes I just dress in a sweater and a beanie, you know? And it's like, and that's me. That's the real me. And I'm thinking I would rather people like me for who I really am than who I think they want me to be. And so in doing that, I've had a lot more fun doing YouTube. That's why I like hanging out with you guys, because I don't have to put on airs. Like, oh, sorry, it's a little windy. Like, I get to just be so yeah, so just a little advice is just be you. And I don't think many people on the planet like listening to themselves back. Like when I watch my videos, I'm like, it's just because I don't like hearing myself. You know, I don't like the sound of my own voice. But I do like being able to see that when I look at these videos, they're me. They're really me. You know, it is how I really talk. It is how I really dress. You know, it is how I really hang out. I hang out in the forest, you know. And so I think of anything, that would be the advice that I would give you is just be you. You know, if you're a makeup goddess, do your makeup. If you love to do your hair, do your hair. If you love to be in your sweatpants, be in your sweatpants. Whatever makes you comfortable, really. And speak from the heart. And if you don't have much to say that day, then you don't have much to say that day. If you have a lot, let it all hang out, girlfriend. So okay, so let's take a look into that throat chakra then. Lily says, in Florida, makeup melts off my face. Okay, so maybe no makeup. All right, so let's tap into your energy. do you remember the Kermit song? You know, Kermit the Frog. This is why do. You know, it's the Kermit song. I forgot all the words, but I know the tune of Kermit's song. And I think Miss Piggy was nearby and she was listening, and it's like the song that makes you cry. It's the Kermit the Frog song. It ain't easy being green. There we go. So yeah. Okay, so that's the song that popped in. It's not easy being green. But let's pull a card here. How can we help Lily open up her throat chakra? Oh, we have the Star card. What a beautiful card it is. Okay. Okay, so besides the advice, you know, of speaking from the heart, from the higher self, what your higher self wants you to most look at are the times that you don't want to say anything. Your higher self's like, there's more learning in the things that you keep yourself from saying than from the things you do say. And so if, you know, whatever it is that you want to post on social media, or, you know, videos that you want to make, let's say on YouTube or something like that, is we know consciously the things that we want to say. And let's say there's something that you want to share, but then you go, oh, you stop yourself, that, you know, that caught in the throat. And it's thinking, I better not say this because that might cause controversy. Or what if I say this and I end up hurting somebody's feelings? Or what if I say this and it'll cause conflict in the comment section, or, you know, something like that. And your higher self is asking you to pause and reflect on why you wouldn't say certain things. Are these valid reasons coming from your higher self, your heart, or are they valid reasons coming from the ego? So let's say the higher self says, well, perhaps we can rephrase what it is that we're saying so that way we reach more people and more people will listen. Perhaps if we said it this way, it would turn off a lot of people, but at the same time, it'll also trigger them into healing. So I don't know, it's kind of a win-win. But the higher self is like, but sometimes the ego will try to convince you that it's best not to say certain things. It's best not to speak your truth or to say how you feel in order to spare somebody else's feelings. In which case, your higher self is saying, well, why is it okay to spare somebody else's feelings, but instead hurt your own feelings? You know, because it does hurt when we don't express ourselves fully. So if the reasoning is that I just don't want conflict in the comment section because I don't like to create conflict, then the higher self saying there is so much healing in that, because where in your life have you felt uncomfortable with conflict? Was it something between you and a parent, or perhaps you on a schoolyard, you know, at some point where there was conflict because of something that you said caused somebody to react angrily or violently, and so therefore you feel like every time I say something of that same energetic level or of that frequency, I'm just going to cause somebody to behave in a fashion that happened in my past. Like my mom behaved this way in the past when I said something like this, so I don't want people to react like my mother did, or I don't want people to react like this school on the schoolyard with this kid in 3rd grade or something like that, you know. So we don't want that to happen again, so the ego wants to protect us and say, no, don't say that, don't share that, because it's going to be conflict, and that conflict was it was uncomfortable, we didn't like it. But the higher self is saying, but I don't want that to be a part of you anymore. I don't want that conflict to be a part of you. So we go inwards, we heal it, we release it, release the schoolyard scuffle, release the argument that we had with mom, or argument that we had with dad. because it's keeping me from speaking my truth in this present moment. There's something I want to share. And we have to realize that we are not in charge of other people's emotions. We can only be in charge of ours, and we can only look at the healing that ours are trying to offer us. So what they do with your information is up to them. That's their free will. They have free will to behave however they wish. They can be angry about it, they can be grateful for it, they could be stoked about it, whatever it may be, but that's theirs to deal with and theirs to work with. So your higher self is just asking you that whatever you do, whenever you come across something where you stop your voice in some way and you say, maybe I shouldn't say that, you have to ask yourself, is that the heart or is that my ego? And if it's my ego, then my ego is trying to show me where I need to heal that, so that next time this comes up again, I'm fully able to express myself, without any sort of triggers or drama. Okay, so Lily, I hope that helped. Let's see, let's go back here. And just the star, the wish, the distant light shining and guiding in the night so far away that you feel you'll never reach, but light makes it here. It is true. You can reach it back, draw it down, the stars, and the light will bring success for you. Amen. Lily says, I'm going to be a star. Hey, you might be, girl. Russ says, a rainbow connection. Excellent. All right. I think we had another reading here, and that was with our buddy John. Oh my gosh. John. Holy schmolies. Wow. Thank you, my friend. Okay, so John said, general reading, please. Wow. Yeah, Peg's like, we salute you. Thank you, sir. John said, also, my friend went to the ER. It was an air tool accident. Oops. Send healing peeps. Pretty sure he'll be fine. It was a cut, by the way. Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll send our healing vibes for you. My goodness. And Russ says, defending yourself is to argue. Protecting yourself is to walk away. Ah, very nice. Wow, you guys have been having some amazing discussions. I love it. Okay, so John, let's tap in. Okay, so John, for some reason, I'm seeing all kinds of lions around you. So first I see, like, at the start of movies and how they have, like, the lion roaring. It's like, I don't know, 20th Century Fox, or I don't know, what are Universal Studios? I'm not sure. It's got the lions, like, roar. That lion's from, like, 1920 or something. But also I see, like, lions roaming around the savannah. Just so much Leo lion roar, like male lion energy around you at the moment. But it's like the lion isn't aggressive at the moment. The lion's looking for a vacation. He just wants to lay next to his mate, next to the water. He just wants to relax. So it's like a relaxing of this ferocious masculine energy, balancing its energy with the feminine, knowing when to receive, when to relax, when to take in a vacation, basically. And this lion doesn't need to show everyone all the time its fierceness, that it's strong, that it's capable, that it's powerful. It's really the energy that lion has. Other animals know it, they sense it. It doesn't need to lash out at every animal it passes to show its power. The animals just feel it oozing off of this lion. So this lion could be doing something as innocuous as laying next to a river, just maybe counting the birdies flying overhead, or staring at the clouds, doing something very not malicious or vicious, but yet still exuding that powerful energy no matter what it's doing. And that's the balance of the feminine and the masculine. It's not in the doing of anything. The lion is just being. Okay, so let's pull a card. Oh, John says the wife is a Leo. Okay. Dude, that's amazing. Okay. All right, we have the Ace of Torches. That's like your Ace of Wands. Okay, so let's tap in here. Wands, also fiery energy to go along with that fiery Leo lion energy. And I could swear I hear lions walking around. I guarantee you there are no lions on this mountain. Okay. All right, so the energy that was coming through, the message that was coming through from your higher self was that you have in spades like a lot of that lion energy. I know you said wife is a Leo, but you have a lot of that action-oriented energy. You know, the fire, the go, that we're gonna make something happen. And also, you know, that you tend to be kind of a problem solver, where if somebody was just sharing with you, let's say your wife is sharing with you just a problem, really she just wants to vent or, you know, get something off her chest. She's not really looking for it to be solved, but maybe she's like, you know, there's something happening at work, she shares it with you, and your immediate reaction is, how can I help to solve this situation? So you go into planning mode, you know, telling the wife, oh, hey, you could do this, and this is how you fix it. And saying sometimes not everything needs to be action oriented. So sometimes when people are sharing things that are going on in their life, whether it's frustrating them or they're allow them to ask you for your guidance first. But instead be more of a listening ear. It's saying that you listen to the point where you think you have enough information to take action. Because you're wanting to help other people. So you're like, well, I don't want, you know, the woman I love to be distressed or anxious or upset in any form. I want to alleviate those feelings. You know, I want to help her. So I'm going to figure out a course of action for her to take. And it's saying sometimes she may not need that course of action. Really, she just wants you to listen and to say, I understand. You know, I hear what you're saying and I understand. And then you would say, do you want me to help you in this situation? But it's saying not just with her, but thinking of all the things in your life, thinking of the things that you do for yourself. Like, let's say you come across a problem, and is your immediate instinct just, I need to, you know, freaking annihilate this problem. It will cease and desist. You know, we have neutralized the situation, you know, but sometimes we have to look at what is actually coming up, you know, for us surrounding this problem. Like, why is this in my sphere at this time? What can I learn from it? So try to get all the juicy details, try to get all the healing from it first, try to run it through your higher self first before we allow the ego to come in and help us to solve that 3D problem, because it may be a 3D problem. So this is, yeah, just a reminder from the higher self that you have a lot of great ideas. You're very good at taking action. You're very good at problem solving. That's fantastic. But sometimes we have to look at why the problem is being presented in the first place. Sometimes it's that it just needs to be aired out, and that's it. Problem solved sometimes is we just needed to talk about it. There was no action really required except for talking about it. Sometimes the problem was only there so that we could look at another area in our life that we needed looking at. And the only reason we would have seen it is because this problem was being presented to us. You know, and then if we decide from there, I got to solve the problem, Or actually, that's all I really needed to know, is I just needed to know I needed to heal in here, 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 and then we're good. And then you might decide that the problem just kind of ended up fixing itself almost magically. But yeah, that's the main thing coming through for me herself, is just sometimes we have to just look at things and listen first before we jump into plan A, B, and C, D, E, F, G. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so John says, sounds like you're channeling her. I don't take care of people. I do take care of people, but I usually don't offer advice unless asked. Yeah, it was just, it did feel a little bit like her energy, but with yours of wanting to solve it. So maybe, like, let's say she did, offer you or tell you that there was something that was bothering her, and in your mind you have the fix in case she asks for it. So it's that your mind doesn't stop working. The ego doesn't stop working. It's already like kind of solved what's going on, and it's there. Of course, maybe you're not the forceful type where you would like force your plans and opinions on people, but it doesn't mean that the plan isn't still there. And it's saying that that's where the disconnect is sometimes, is you're a very good listener, but you're also in your own mind thinking, how could this get resolved? How could this be fixed? And it's kind of taking you away from the full listening experience, which is just being there for her. And being there for yourself as well. This is not just talking about her, but like, other people in your life, and you being one of the main people in your life. So yeah, leaving the planning phase until later and just listening. And why is this issue coming up for me? Before we solve it, let's see where it's really stemming from. Why is this being presented to me? Because obviously things are there for a reason. So we want to know that reason. So John's like, I'm a Libra. The brain doesn't stop. Libra moon here. Like, I understand. John said, thank you. You're very welcome. Lily said, thank you, Russ. Great point. Reading through the comments. Oh, yeah, that's right. You guys had a bunch of really good comments here. Angela says, you're doing amazing, Russ. You've been calm under pressure, dealing with a bit than your share. People are giving in unequal measures. That time is ending soon for you, and you'll be able to put the extra down and take on the new things you want to do. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep manifesting every day, and slow and steady wins the race, and your win is soon. Okay, amen. Had a random thing for Russ. Not sure why that came through when I put my hand on Gaia's statue, but it did. So there you go, Russ. And John says, I pulled the Ace of Wands for myself too. Oh my goodness. Excellent. So cool. Lots of hugs going around. Group hug from Peg. Russ says, I heard on New Earth, a new dimension, we'll get our protein if needed from a custard-like fruit we've never known before. Will meat-eating animals eat the same, sparing kinder animals' life? Interesting. Well, I've been eating source. We're still doing our one meal a day. I'm still doing little workouts. I'm still feeling pretty strong. So maybe some of the New Earth is just eating source. We've been trying to teach all our animals and the plants here, like we're just offering what we know of eating source, and it seems like they are very appreciative. Some of the birds say that they are trying to eat source. They still do the 3D thing of like eating worms and bugs and little seeds and things like that, the berries around here, but they said they're trying to balance it out now, understanding that part of their programming is to eat what they eat, but also understanding that they can find a different source of energy, which is through source. So yeah, maybe New Earth will be part of that. John, very welcome, very welcome. Mwah! Mike says, listen to your heart, John. Angela says, it will unboop on its own once you've had a rest and feeling a bit more Russ says, thank you, Angela. That was great. Angela said, eating source. You can eat source energy. And she says, wow, I didn't know that. Oh yeah, that's what we've been doing for several months now, actually. And haven't, I'm down to one meal a day, just dinner. And I drink my teas, I drink water, and I'm still very healthy. I still work out. In fact, I'm putting on muscle. I'm getting stronger. And yeah, I don't feel like wanting. I don't feel starving. I haven't lost any more weight. I'm the same weight I've always been. I don't know. The source is working for me. Let's see. Angela says, and praise Gaia that came through from her statue. So glad you liked it and helped you. Bless you, Russ. Oh, very nice. All right, you guys. Well, I say let's get to our guided meditation. I love doing our meditation. Thank you to everybody who let me read for them and connect to their energy. I love connecting to your energies. I love connecting to your higher selves. And it's a blessing. I know that a lot of the things that you guys have going on are very personal. So I appreciate you guys allowing your personal lives to be heard, because I know that in sharing those, it does help other people. So although the readings may have been for very specific people, the information that was in those readings, I think, could help others as well. So that's why I like doing them here during the live chat. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's have a little sip of tea. And you know what? Since we have this wind, let's do a guided meditation with the wind. So it's channeled guided meditation, so I don't really know how that's going to go because it's very spur of the moment. So I just let my higher self do the talking. She says it better than I could anyway, so. Okay. Angela says, also earlier, I booped the relax button for the overthinkers, so their brains will let them have a break. It will naturally unboop when the rest. So it is. Alrighty. I think we should turn the camera over here. I'm not going to be able to see your comments right now. And let's go here, so that way you guys can keep an eye on the birdies. Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn my chair a little bit just so I can see the camera. Okay. All right. Go ahead and get yourselves into a nice, comfortable space. You could be indoors or outdoors, seated in the grass, perhaps seated on a pillow or laying down. Find a position that is comfortable for you. And when you've found that position, go ahead and bring your awareness to your breath. Just feeling the air coming in through your nostrils, in through the nasal cavity, down the throat, into the lungs, into the diaphragm, perhaps down into your belly, or maybe you bring that air all the way down into your toes. We do nice steady exhales, letting the air just escape from our lips, back out into Gaia, breathing in and out. If you wish, go ahead and place your right hand on top of your chest so you can feel that subtle rise and fall. As we feel the wind outside coming in breaths, inhaling and exhaling, so do we inhale and exhale. With the breath that is our life, wind is the breath of the earth. With every inhale you take, think about something that you would like to bring into your life at this time. What do you want more of at this time? And breathe it in. Breathe it in deeply so it touches every cell, every organ, every muscle, every bit of your body. And as you exhale, what is it that you want to release? What is it you have completed that you'd like to get rid of at this time? And feel it leaving those organs and those cells, those hair follicles. Feel it leaving fully off into the wind to be transmuted into something new. And now I want you to move your consciousness a little bit. I want you to imagine that you are the wind. How does it feel to be the wind? Feeling yourself to have substance yet none at all. To be free everywhere at once and to varying degrees. Knowing that the power of the world is within you. And that you can be as subtle or as strong as you choose to be. What is your vantage point as the wind? We know that the wind could tickle the leaves growing out of the ground just as much as it could caress a cloud high up in the sky. So as you look with the eyes of the wind, what do you see? Do you see the world that you encompass like a beautiful ethereal blanket? And think of the energy that you are, the wind. How are you feeling at this moment? Are you a gentle breeze? Perhaps you're offshore winds from the salty waters. Perhaps you're part of the marine layer. And perhaps you are the winds of the Mogollon Rim dancing through the White Mountains. What is your force at this time? Are you subtle? Do you ebb and flow? Are you feeling gale force at this moment? We know that there is always some trigger that causes the wind to do as she does. So why is your response a subtle breeze? Or perhaps why is your response gale force winds? Perhaps you're so still you barely can be felt at all. But we ask ourselves why. How does this reflect the energy that I am currently in? How could I use the energy of my element, wind, to aid me in this process, to aid me in my healing? Do I need to take hurricane force winds to clear a pathway in my life, to clear out the old? Do I use my power for healing today? Perhaps I want to rebuild from the ground up. I want to start anew. Perhaps my element, the wind today, is meant only to coax and gently nudge my creations into fruition. Perhaps it only needs my subtle breath, my magical words, to put the finishing touches on the creation of my life. But take a moment now to speak to the element that is you, wind, to show you how your personal wind type is a reflection of what is occurring in your life right now. See the shadow and the light in it. Take its healing message. How can you utilize this wind energy to your advantage? Do you need to turn up the wind, so to speak? Do you need to dial it back? Do you need to warm it up or cool it down? Go back to where you saw yourself in your perspective as wind. Were you overlooking the ocean, a valley, perhaps the mountain ranges? This too gives you insight into your current life. Is you the wind and you the mountains working together? How about you the wind and you the ocean? Are you working together? You the sands and you the wind. Think about where your wind is passing through. Make that connection. Continue breathing. When you've asked these questions of yourself and received your answers, understand that you can come back into this meditation at any time. You come back into the remembrance of your element, the wind, and you can remember this every time you inhale and exhale. That wind element is right here in your very vessel. You're never far from this element. So thank the wind, thank yourself, thank Gaia, and your vessel and your soul for giving you this guidance today. And when you are ready, go ahead and bring your awareness back into your body. You can start to wiggle your fingers and toes. And start to bring your awareness back to your breath. And when you are ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Have a little stretch. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Having a nice little wind meditation. All righty, let's see. Woo! Angela was saying, wind isn't always in a rush. It doesn't lack direction. Either it's unseen and seems to be rushed and random, but it's got its own endeavors. It carries energy here and there and messages too. It takes in the stories of the world and whispers if you listen close to it. It has a job to do and doesn't mean to knock over things in its way. It doesn't get frustrated with you. Wind, if you can avoid it, it's just blowing in and blessings and stories and to do its work, and then it will fly off in its way. Amen. And Susie said, thank you all for being here. Yes, thank you. Angela said, thank you for the beautiful meditation. Karen says, I'm crying. I feel much better after today. Excellent, excellent. Nice release. Angela said, hugs and love. Thank you, Susie, for moderating and keeping us silly little souls in line. So calming, almost fell asleep. Karen says, good tears. Russ says, thank you, Wynn. Thank you, Tara, for your guidance. Thank you, Angela, for your blessings today for me. And thank you, Peg, for your daily wisdom. Thank you, Mod Squad. Lisa saying, until next time, peeps. Mike says, I have loved being with you all today. Oh, my love. John said, I realized I was being in my wind energy, trying to move fast through the advice you gave. Thank you all. And Angela saying, you're so welcome, Russ. Blessings and lots of love to everyone in the chat today. Manifest all Cadbury cream egg oatmeal. Wishing you abundance today. Alrighty. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a beautiful week. Don't forget to tap into that higher self. Tap into your wind energy. I'll catch you guys later. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out. Bye, guys.